Kia ora koutou, Greg Simmons here from Priority One, and pleased to be joined by Brad Olsen, newly appointed Chief Executive at Infometrics today. We're just going to run through a few questions pertinent to the local economy and get Brad's take on things. Brad, welcome to Tauranga Moana, and really just interested in your perspective on how the local economies are faring given the national context of an inflationary kind of high interest rate environment.
Look, we know that things are still very challenging at the moment. Inflation is high and there's likely a recession coming down. But we've seen regional economies still perform pretty strongly. And you look across the Western Bay of Plenty, you look at Tauranga specifically, a lot of good, strong activity that's come through. And actually, over that COVID-19 period, there's been a lot of economic ups and downs. But here locally, you've seen that really strong level of resilience. You've seen a lot of activity coming forward. Businesses, people have worked really hard to keep that economic motor running, and at the moment it's running well. And I'd much rather be in that position and have to face a recession than be in a more challenging sort of economic environment that other regions across the country are. So here, still moving ahead with a lot of that economic momentum behind you.
And Brad, which industries locally would you say are really driving that growth? And perhaps a bit of thinking from you in terms of which industries to watch in terms of the future?
Look, I think obviously the primary sector is still a huge part of the local economy around the Western Bay of Plenty area. That's been doing a lot of heavy lifting throughout a lot of the last few years. It is a bit more challenged this year. It's struggling to find workers. Of course, there's still supply disruptions, weather and what have you have come through. And of course, global headwinds that are coming through. So a little bit of a tempered back expectation in the primary sector, but transport and logistics still moving ahead at pace. A lot of manufacturing and construction as well has got a lot of work to try and get through over the next year or two, and that'll provide a real strong foundation, if you will, under the economy. Further out, I think one of the biggest drivers in recent times that we expect to still be a big part of things for Western Bay of Plenty is the professional services sector. Biggest jobs grower in the last year, a lot coming through, particularly as New Zealand starts to work from home a lot more, and so I'd keep a close eye on those professional activities.
Fantastic. And just picking up on the ag hort sector, which is a traditional significant industry here, what do you see as those biggest challenges that they're facing at the moment and perhaps how they can overcome them?
Look, at the moment, debt servicing costs have risen quite a lot. Anyone who's got anything in the primary sector with debt behind them, that's costing them a lot more, and their input costs are a lot higher. The likes of the farm price index has risen nearly 15% over the last year. Inflation for consumers is bad at nearly 7%, but it's double that for farms. And so, those inputs are really starting to limit those profitability levels. That increasingly says that, look, that automation focus is going to be important. Maybe not ChatGPT on farm, if you will, or across the horticultural sector, but increasingly you are starting to see more machinery being able to be utilised, and also increasing sort of some of the manufacturing outputs when it comes to packing and packaging a number of those sort of horticultural, the likes of the fruits and vegetables that come out of the region.
Yeah, and picking up on the job market, whilst things have eased back very slightly, it's still very tight and likely to be very tight for a long time yet. What's your advice to both job seekers and to employers given that?
I think for job seekers, look, there's still jobs out there, and that's the big thing. And even when we're expecting to see a bit of a pullback in those job ads, for example, there's still a lot of hiring that needs to go on. We know that there are people with New Zealand's ageing population that are retiring. And increasingly, again, if you're a business and you're looking to expand, you've got stuff to do, you need good people to do it. And so for job seekers, putting that best foot forward, being willing to look around, I think, a lot more, not only in the industry that you might have previously worked in, but increasingly a bit further afield. Where are those crossovers where you can bring your skills to bear, perhaps in a slightly different way? Certainly for employers themselves, though, are keen to focus on actually keeping the talent you've got. It's really important, but also thinking for the future. Yes, there is likely to be a bit of a slower economic period over the next year or so. That doesn't mean that you should put your labour at risk. We know there's going to be further economic activity to be done, and you're going to have workers to do it. And importantly, the sooner you get that started, the more prosperity you can start to create over time. You get people into the business, they bring fresh ideas, you can continue on that development pathway. So that focus on the labour market, the focus on talent is more important than ever before, and upskilling people over time and providing them an opportunity to develop further is not only good for them as a worker, but great for you as a business.
Thanks, Brad. And just to finish on a very serious question, if you could have one economic superpower, what would it be, and how would you use it to benefit the local economy?
Given it's a superpower, I sort of think about teleportation a little bit, so I can get rid of all the congestion. We can sort of get out of all of those transport disruptions. Supply chains wouldn't be an issue anymore. You could just pop it between one area and the other. That's an area that is always a frustration, no matter if you're driving the kids to school or anything else. And so I'd like to be able to teleport and just jump from one place to the other like that.
Fantastic, great talking with you, Brad. Good luck.
Thank you.